opinions and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
And hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Scarefest Television. The original broadcast date, July 12th, 2024, missed Friday the 13th by that much. Anyway, a little update to some of you saw the banners earlier. We have four celebrity announcements tonight. And you're gonna love them. And we, Bonehead Weekly is coming on with he does his review of A Quiet Place, Day 1, in theaters now. And just to give you a quick rundown, Brett Wagner is our guest tonight, but he is traveling every Friday of this month. So what I did was I pre-recorded this week and have a great interview with him. It was a lot of fun, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. Brett, welcome back to Scarefest TV.
Thank you so much for having me back. I am surprised. I think this is under a year, and I've been invited back. Usually I get it's a 3 or 4 year ban, and then I'm allowed to come back. So that's great.
Well, the thing is, I listened to your podcast, Shooting the Shiz with DK and the Swag, and it seems like you've been kind of absent. So I was afraid you didn't have anything to do.
Well, thank you, sir. Yeah. No, we do the podcast, and, myself and John Henderson, and, sometimes we're out of town. Sometimes John is doing a convention, and usually for him, because he has to drive to the places, he'll be leaving Wednesday morning. And if I leave very early, like tomorrow, I am leaving. So if I have to leave very early, I tend to pack late at night and then try to get a couple hours sleep. And so I don't do a podcast on Wednesday, but thank you so much, Wes, for thinking of the and pointing that out.
Thank you for coming on at short notice. Now I want to tell the fans, I contacted Brett over July 4th weekend. Brett was out of the country in London. So the first question, Brett, is why do you hate America?
Well, I don't. I wanted to see if that English breakfast was better than ours, which it's not. I wanted to see what Bangers and Mash was all about, which wasn't bad, and I really wanted to see if they have better fish and chips than us. And I'm still on the fence on that.
Okay, you went to a horror con over there. I don't know which one over here. How are the fans over there? I mean, do they have that rabid mentality that the American fans do, or?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think it's the same. I mean, when you're in London, which was my first time being in London and doing a con out there. I mean, there's a lot of Harry Potter folks. There's a lot of Doctor Who folks, and then you sprinkle in some horror movie Americans in there, and there was a lot of artists, and so there was a lot to choose from. The London Film and HorrorCon there was nice. It was good. It's it's a little different. After a 12-hour flight, it screws up your sleeping patterns. And I will tell you this: you are there a lot longer than a lot of the cons in the States. I mean, you're pulling 10 hours a day down there, and
oh gosh,
so you get a little tired. But the fans are fans, and I noticed the one thing I noticed is that a lot of the fans, especially on the Friday, they bring a lot of stuff for you to sign. So as opposed to maybe in the States, where folks will come see what you got on your table, and occasionally someone brings something they want signed. I mean, the whole first day, which was a long day, people were bringing stuff up, which was great, which was pretty fun. And I didn't get to see much of London. My wife went with me, Wes, and we got to go. There was a movie, Notting Hill. I think I'm saying that right. With gosh,
that movie
Eric
is like 20 or 30 years old.
Yeah, Julia Roberts, I believe, is in that. Notting Hill, and we went to that Thursday night when we got in. We went to a couple places so she could get pictures. Oh my gosh, that's the Notting. But other than that, we didn't get to really see much. I did try, Wes. I'm not a big drinker, but we're in England. We're in London. I had to try a beer, and I found one called a Camden Town, which was a pretty good. So Camden beer, which was pretty good. And if I ever have enough money to open my own bar, I will have some Camden Town there on tap.
Follow-up question. Do they still serve the beer warm over there, or have they caught up with us?
I think they've caught up with us.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, the serious part of the interview, and this is more of it, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, just in case somebody's watching who does not know how you got the nickname, the Lost Leatherface. Because the first time I talked to you, I had no goddamn idea. And then you explained it very eloquently. So I'm going to let you do it again, just as a matter of introduction.
Well, my name is Brett Wagner. I have been an actor for 30-odd some years. I'm also a host. I've hosted some TV shows and been the voice of a very popular TV show, Monster Garage, on Discovery Channel. And, I started acting because I wanted to get into horror movies. And I think in my mid-30s, I started to get 30 years old, I got a couple gigs on Buffy and Angel under makeup. And then I got cast as Leatherface for the 2003 remake. Was out there for about a week, had about 2 days of filming, and then I got heat stroke, which tightened all the muscles up in my back. And I got replaced by Andrew Bernarski to come in because they didn't have time for me to heal up. And I told them it'd probably be a week before my back's, so yes. So a lot of people didn't know that. And I never really talked about it because I was embarrassed. And I just went on to keep filming and doing other stuff. And, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, a lot of the magazines picked up on the fact that there was another Leatherface in the movie who did the first kill. I never even went and saw the trailer. And someone sent me this video of the trailer. And in the trailer, they show me slamming that door shut. And I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. So, after 20 years, the movie's been out for 20 years. Last year was our 20th anniversary. I finally come to grips with, yes, I played Leatherface. And although I did not get to finish the movie, I still am part of that select few that got to play Leatherface. So a lot of the fans did not know that. And someone said, hey, you're the Lost Leatherface. So I kind of ran with it.
See, I should be the Lost Avenger. I wasn't on the movie set, but like when I was a kid, I ran around in Captain America underwear, and I'm the missing Avenger.
You are. But now you're an athlete now, so we just have to start calling you the athlete.
We'll talk about that, buddy.
Now Katie. You're the toxic Avenger. Well, okay. Hi, I'm Katie, and I do a lot of community theater in my spare time, so I feel like a professional. And so you got into acting because you were interested in horror movies?
Yeah, since I was a little kid, Katie, I used to, I was lucky enough, my parents didn't mind me sitting in front of the TV set, and I used to watch The Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, Night Gallery in the 70s. I think the first horror movie I ever watched was Romero's Night of the Living Dead, 1968. I saw a cheesy horror movie called Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. And I was kind of hooked. And, as a kid, I think that's, it used to be exciting to be able to go to the VHS store back in the day and go mingle in the horror section and see what my
Oh,
parents would let me.
Blockbuster.
Yeah, and let me see what they would let me get. And in the neighborhood, you would trade all your. Some guy's got Cannibal Holocaust, or someone else has got this movie, and you'd be trading and watching. But yeah, ultimately that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be get under makeup and be a zombie or kill zombies, and just took quite a while into my acting career before I got to do some of that stuff. But I have over 110 credits. I've been in Los Angeles for my whole life, and I'm 56 years old. So I've gotten to do a lot of good, a lot of TV and film, and a lot of the Nickelodeon and Disney high def, probably stuff that you grew up on. Katie?
I actually, yeah, I did. Okay, I'm older than that, but then the Hannah Montana, because I did look and I noticed, I was like, oh, he did Drake and Josh, an episode of that, and then he did do an episode of Hannah Montana. I found you've done a lot of work.
I have.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer film or television?
That's a good. Excuse me. That's a good question, because you do TV unless you're going to Atlanta or maybe New York. I've never even filmed in New York, but you might be flown to Atlanta, but you're doing it in LA. It's always nice to be able to pull up to Paramount or 20th Century Fox, and there's a little name tag there that says Brett Wagner's parking spot. But getting out on the road, filming like the Crazies, for instance, in 2010, we got to go film a couple of weeks in Atlanta, filmed a couple of weeks in Iowa, which was great. So if I could have my choice, I probably would like to, be on a reoccurring on a TV show out here or somewhere in Atlanta. Yeah. I'm getting tired of California, Katie.
Well, it's very expensive. Your gas prices are ridiculous. So I just gotta say, but I wondered, I don't know, I wondered, how was it to film? Okay, this is just me because I'm curious. Was there any difference in filming with the Disney Channel versus Nickelodeon? Well,
I will tell you this. No, not really, but I will tell you this. If you're an over-the-top actor, if you're a character actor and you're funny and you're a big guy, and I was also in the world of professional wrestling for a little bit, so I'm really good at improv, which means just they want you to act silly, even though you're a grown man. And a lot of the TV shows for Nickelodeon and Disney are over-the-top characters. Yeah. So I would get booked on that. So, I mean, not really a difference. The Disney checks always cash right away. They're always sent to you right away. That's always a nice thing. You don't have to worry about where's my check.
Yeah.
No difference, but equally as fun.
I also wondered, have you ever done any stage work?
So that is funny. So in my early 30s, I had some friends that were part of a group repertory theater, which was kind of a pretty popular theater group. And I was like, I was in acting class, and I said, maybe I should try theater, because a lot of my friends, Mark Ruffalo, the famous Mark Ruffalo, is a good friend of mine, and we both were working a bar before we became actors. And Mark was doing a lot of theater. And I said, man, and I got an agent right away. And I remember this, and I said, Mark, I got an agent. I'll get you an agent, right? He's like, I think I'm going to stick with the theater. He was doing theater, he was doing plays, and obviously he's done very well with that. So in my 30s, I tried to, I auditioned with someone else that was in my acting class for this theater group, and it went over really well. But and I was like, cool, when do we get to audition for some plays? Well, that doesn't happen right away. You got to pay your dues. And I didn't realize it would probably be 6 or 8 months before I could even get a part in a play, because they were already cast. So I think I left maybe 2 weeks after that.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. That's interesting. Because I'm just so used to just the casting calls out, go audition, you'll find out in a week. I believe it's about time for our first commercial break.
The Bombs is a 2024 Scarefest weekend sponsoring vendor. The Bombs makes bath and body products for everyone. Ashley Dobbs makes unique small batch hand-painted bath bombs, plus sugar scrubs, whip soaps, and body oils. Find the Bombs on Facebook and at the monthly Central Kentucky Mystical Market in Lexington. Scarefest weekend sponsoring vendors make the event happen. Be sure to tell them that you heard it here on Scarefest TV.
Tuesday's Crypt features deals with talents in the horror community, from mask makers, sculptors, artists, and more. Plus, podcast Live in the Crypt, shooting the shiz with BK and the Swag, and BK and the Bees, Horror Buzz. Visit their website, join their Facebook group, and thank them for being a Scarefest sponsoring vendor.
And we're back with our recorded interview with Mr. Brett Wagner. Okay, now I actually went and listened to your podcast some, and one thing, okay, I understand. Now you actually grew up in California.
I did. I grew up in California West when it was really fun, and there was so much to do. And yeah, it's a great place to grow up. I mean, we never really had any rain. We never have. It was never used to get too hot. We always had the beaches within an hour. Numerous beaches. We've had the mountains. You know, if you wanted to go to the snow, Big Bear, California, that's 2 hours away. It was a great place to grow up. It was, I remember the first time I went into Beverly Hills and realized, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on. Beverly Hills, this is all exciting. I grew up, if you ever watched the movie Valley Girl with Nicolas Cage, that is basically I grew up in the valley where there's valley girls. And as a kid, when I was old enough to get on the bus and get a bus pass, we'd go to Hollywood and we would walk around Hollywood and go to some punk rock shows, and I'd get in trouble because I would get back past my curfew. But California it was a very fun place to grow up in. And there was just a lot, Magic Mountain, Disneyland. There was a lot of cool stuff that there was to do as a kid.
You make it sound great. The follow-up to that is, how come you're not Californianized? I think that would be a word. Okay. Actually, most of the actors that I meet are pretty cool. The people that I've met in real life that are from California, they're just out there. And you referred to yourself on one of the episodes I listened to as you're a redneck. How do you get from Valley Girl to redneck? It's funny. I mean, I've always been a little different. I started once I got doing voiceovers for Monster Garage and was traveling around a little bit doing the bike shows across the country in the Midwest and in the South. And then, started hosting my own drag racing show, Pastime. I was just on the road a lot and being the voice for a Bad Boy Mowers, a company which I've done for 21 years and have worked with them. I was in Arkansas and in the South all the time, and I just don't spend a lot of time in California. And I'm a California redneck. I like to call myself that, but I'm a biker. I don't necessarily, fit into the Hollywood mold of folks that some of these bigger actors. I am a big redneck. I'm just this guy that happens to be a redneck that gets on TV time to time and has been in some movies. Well, I think you turned out fine.
Thank you.
Now, okay. Now, last time you were on the show, you explained to me part of what you might have explained the whole story, but I got to hear the rest of it. The Big Swag. Now, swag is a reference, I understand, to shitty marijuana.
It is. Yeah.
Okay. If you've got a better definition, we'll go with it.
Swag, SWAG is like stuff. If you're going to a red carpet event, if you're at the Oscars, the swag bag, right? So they'll give you the free stuff, which, $140,000 in that bag that they're giving away. Swag, my last name is Wagner. I used to, when I was growing up, I was working every single bar in Hollywood, I mean, 6 nights a week, I'd be working a different bar. Used to work with R.A. Mihailoff, who you know very well, from Leatherface Part 3, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We used to work bars together, clubs together, throwing people out of, god-awful places. And then we would audition that was our time to audition during the day. But I worked with a guy from Australia. He just called me Schwagner. So when I decided I was having a midlife crisis, like at 30, and I've always been a guy that wants to try everything, whether it's a podcast, whether it's radio. I always just wanted to try something, especially when I get bored. And I really loved pro wrestling. And I got into the pro wrestling world, and I just said, well, I call myself Big Schwag. And, it kind of stuck. And then when I got on, tried to brand myself on Jesse James's show, Monster Garage, and I said, well, can I at least, say my name? Hey, it's the Big Schwag. We're in Long Beach, California. And Tom Beers, who was our executive producer, who created a whole bunch of shows, I said, I don't care. That's fine. If Discovery Channel don't like it, they'll come tell you. And I remember, like, in our 4th season, some young executive from Discovery Channel came out and he goes, I know what Schwag is. I know what Schwag is. It's low-grade marijuana. And I said, well, it's too late, my friend. We've been 4 years. We can't just change my name in the middle of a series.
I love that story. Katie, over to you.
Well, I'm glad he asked about that, because when he asked me to join in, I was like, what's Big Schwag? What is that? Could I hear the backstory?
Tell him the rest of what you asked.
Well,
no. Katie, don't embarrass yourself now.
The message I sent was he had an opportunity to be like, I'm packing. And you should have just said that. That's why your nickname's your Big Schwag. Like,
well, then my doctor and my wife would tell you that I'm a liar then.
We wouldn't know. Okay, so I did some research and I was really impressed that with your makeup work that you had done. Was it on Angel or Buffy? Like, I think it was on your website.
Yeah, well, I mean, under makeup, I've been on Buffy once as a truck driver, no makeup, and then I was on Angel a couple times, Bogdar the Demon, and then the Nadra Prince, and Robert Hall, Almost Human special effects. He's not with us anymore, passed away, but Rob was a big makeup effects guy in the day, and he was lucky enough that I was his buddy, and he continued to keep saying if there was a really good part or something they had this redneck demon guy, and he says, I have a perfect guy for this, and he got me that gig. And it's very funny you say that, because I was just in London with David Boreanaz, if I forget if I'm saying his name wrong, and my wife went up to him in the green room and said, hey, David, I don't know if you remember this is my husband. And she showed him the picture. And he goes, oh my gosh, that's a long time ago. And then I saw him, and he came by my table and was chatting. And yeah, it's some of that makeup is very cumbersome, especially the Bogdar the Demon, because you have to hook. I had 30-pound arms on each side of that big giant headpiece I had on, and I had to go to the chiropractor the next day after that. So when you see some of these folks, your Derek Mears or your Doug Tates or your Doug Jones, especially, when these guys are doing 7 or 8 hours worth of makeup and then they get out there and they look like a totally different, a creature, know that it's a big deal. It's a lot to do, and it is not for everyone. I mean, at my age now, I would love to just act, a little bit of makeup if I need it, but I'm an actor. So if it calls to be a creature again, I'll do it.
It just seemed like such a cool experience, and I wondered how long it took to become Bogdar, I believe was who it was.
Well, Bogdar was a couple hours. On the movie The Crazies, that was about 3.5 hours, because that's different applications, maybe 25 different applications. And then it took about an hour to take off. Taking off stuff is not that fun either, because you're always ripping and pulling stuff off, and you will, months after a gig where you're under makeup, you might find something up in your hair or behind your ear and go, what is that? Oh, that's makeup from 2 months ago. So Yes, it's fun. Yes, it's always fun to play something different and look cool and scare people, especially when you get to see it on the big screen and you go, "Wow, that is pretty awesome." So yeah, but as you get older,
That
you
is
really
that's
yes.
such cool artistry that makeup artists could create that. But what was that more? Did it help you make a character, or was it harder to act and react? Or I've never
No,
experienced.
no. I mean, it's always. I think it's once you see once you get into makeup and get into something like that, it's not very hard to. I mean, they'll tell you, Bogdar is. He's just a fan of the Angel character. And when he comes into that bar, he's so excited and oh my gosh, you're him sitting next to me. And then then David is looking for somebody who doesn't like my fanboy stuff that I'm talking to him and tries to strangle me. And yeah,
Like,
it's
did
not
you
that hard.
have to? I'm sorry. Did you have to like change how you react? Like if you were so excited, like was it harder to lift your eyebrows and
Oh, sure, of
emote?
course. Yeah, you get used to the makeup, and you'll sit in your dressing room and see how you're talking, and it definitely changes the way you talk a lot, especially if you have, if you're wearing some teeth or something is heavy on your face, you're going to sound a little different. I did a movie called Desert Fiends, and it should be coming out this year. A Sean C. Phillips movie with uh, Scout Taylor Compton, Tom Arnold, and Robert Lasardo, and some other folks. And sometimes you have to create different voices and kind of what you look like. But yeah, makeup will definitely change the way you walk. Costumes will change the way you react to folks, and definitely your facial features. But you get it, you love it, you get into it, and it's not that hard, especially when you've been doing it for 30 years. When I first started doing it, yeah, it might have been a little, wow, this is pretty cool. But then you're thinking about all the movies that you watched before and how someone else did something. Sometimes I go in for different roles now. I just went in to play a judge. So I was thinking how my buddy Robert Patrick would do it. How would Robert Patrick play a judge? And I think about stuff that I've watched on TV, and you just give it a go, and hopefully it sticks.
I've always, I mean, even at little tiny community theater level, I can imagine that. There are certain roles that there are fellow actors I admire, and I think, how would they handle that? What can I do to emulate that? And it's one
Well,
thing
and
I
it's
did.
go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
you go. You're the
Well,
guest.
I mean, it's the same thing when I got Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, what am I going to bring to the table that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe the 6 guys before me did? How am I going to portray myself different than Gunnar Hansen did? Am I going to pay him enough homage? Because you don't want to, you get the gig of a lifetime, and even though I lost that gig, you think about it and go, what did I do it justice? Even my one scene, did I do it well enough to? And of course, I would have wanted to delve into, if I would have finished the movie, I had a couple ideas that would have been a little different. It would have been nice to see, but all that stuff, especially when you're older, all plays into your mindset and how you're going to look at a role. So yeah, I 100% a lot of times will remember a movie I watched and figure, oh gosh, that guy did that kind of role so great. And then I will, take a little bit of that and take a little bit of what I think the character should be. There's no right or wrong, is what I'm saying, Katie. You come up with something with your own, and then all they can do is say, no, that's not good. Do it differently. So.
Well, one of the things I told you before we started filming. So, okay, I got to play Annie Wilkes and got my own sledgehammer. And well, these sledgehammers have done good work. I'm so glad I got to share this moment. I've been saving the sledgehammer for a good moment.
Yeah, so the folks don't know you got to play Annie Wilkes from Misery.
Misery.
With James Caan, one of the And that sledgehammer scene is one of the scariest scenes in movie history, in my opinion, where she hobbles,
Which he
Mr.
hits
Khan.
him. And you know what? He had it coming. That's what I think. But
No, he did not.
I had to justify it. But I know that, like, when I took this little community theater role, which is nothing compared to a movie, but like, I kept thinking I want to pay Kathy Bates her respects, but I also want to make it my own. Do you still face that? Like, even getting Leatherface, I can feel like that's such a daunting role to say,
Sure.
oh yeah.
Well, I had 2 months before when I booked it, I had 2 months, going to the gym, trying to get in better shape, and all that stuff crosses your mind. But once you get on the set, you go with the flow, and you're this menacing guy. Now the costume does help you a little bit, right? I mean, you're this big menacing monster of a man in a giant mask and with a sledgehammer, or a chainsaw or a machete. C.J. Graham and these guys, and all these guys that have played, Jason, so kind of some of that stuff is just, it's cool, and you really don't have to work at it. Now, you can watch a documentary on Kane that they did for Kane, and he shows you how he did try to bring some stuff that were different, some of his breathing techniques, which look pretty crazy on screen. This big monster, taking deep breaths and and it adds to it. So yeah, you want to try to add your own flavor to it, and some people, have do their own thing, especially if it's a brand new character. If you're not doing something that someone has done before. In Desert Fiends, I played this character Papa, very Hills Have Eyes-ish, like a Michael Bailey Smith did in the Hills Have Eyes 1 and 2, the remakes. And, I brought my own flavor to it. And you just hope it works once it comes out on camera, and you hope it looks good.
Hey, I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Dean. We're the owners of Wicked World Scaregrounds. We have grown to become one of Kentucky's premier haunted attractions.
We've built this beast from the ground up, and now we need monsters to fill it.
We're looking to hire 100 actors and staff for this upcoming season.
We've done our best over the years to keep innovating and improving our layout, design, and customer experience.
We have 3 distinct haunted attractions, all offering a unique experience.
It takes a lot of people to run this show, and we want you.
Whether you're a Halloween enthusiast just looking for a new haunt to call home,
or someone who's looking for a fun, new, and exciting experience, we're the place for you.
Probably my favorite thing about working here is that it's very inclusive and you feel like it's one big family.
It's just easy to get out of your own space, come here, and you get into a new space that is just more welcoming place for you to be yourself.
Just overall, the creative freedom we get, and it's so fun to create characters the way they allow us to. It's awesome to get to make cool stuff with your friends and just be spooky. It's really great.
I can just be myself. I can be quirky, and I don't get awkward stares, and people just enjoy it.
So if you enjoy Halloween, acting, and all things spooky,
and head on over to tooscary.com and click on the link Jobs, and let us know if you're ready to get wicked.
Are you a fan of horror movies, books, comics, music, and collectibles? Rue Morgue magazine is for you. Subscribe today to receive 6 or 12 print issues annually and join me, executive editor Andrea Cibisati, on an ongoing journey through the horror genre of the past, present, and future. Plus, get access to unmissable special editions such as A Century of Witches, 50 Years of Gore Cinema, British horror movies, and so much more. Rue Morgue, the world's premier horror and culture and entertainment magazine since 1997. Accept no substitute.
Let's kick off the evening's announcements by adding a name to the Scream reunion. We've got Jeff Brockton. Jeff was the stuntman that did Ghostface in Scream 3. Hey, let's bring in Marley Shelton. Marley Shelton from Scream 4, and I think there might even be another one in there. But Rampage. We've got her for Planet Terror. Valentine. Of course, that's part of Death, and she was in Death Proof as part of Planet Terror. Yes, I know that. But anyway, Marley Shelton, another one added to our Scream reunion. And here's one you might have been waiting on. Rose McGowan, also from the Scream franchise. Of course, another Death Proof with Planet Terror, The Doom Generation, Monkey Bone, Untouchable. Nice fat resume, but of course she is part of our Scream reunion. And finally, we want to announce James DeBello coming in for Cabin Fever. Just to pad that up a little bit more. James DeBello from Cabin Fever. You also know him from Clinton Road, Swim Fan, Detroit Rock City, and National Lampoon's Dorm Days. Hey everybody, if you know an independent film producer or you work on a film yourself, the Scarefest Horror Film Festival is still taking entries for Scarefest 2024. Just go to scarefestweekend.com and follow the link to our Film Freeway page. I'm 2 weeks away from running my next 5K, the Run White and Blue. I am sponsored this month by Mystic Luna. But this 5K is a special one celebrating the life and legacy of Captain Alan Cure Elliott. And I do that through, to a great deal, I tell you all about the training and stuff that I go through, my Patreon project. Now, my Patreon project is up to, actually it's 53 now. I believe the official number is 53. I have gained a member or two. But anyway, I will be doing my Sleepaway Camp cosplay at Scarefest 2024. But if I reach 100 members, I will get that temporary tramp stamp and do it with that. If you're interested, check out patreon.com/ScarefestRadio. It is basically a diary of my life. I started it when I had my heart attack last year, and now I'm just an ass. The Central Kentucky Mystical Market is coming up next weekend. That is July 20th and 21st. They have added the Saturday date. That's not widely publicized yet, but they are doing the 2-day for July 20th and 21st. Check them out online. You can go to scarefestweekend.com, find the link there, or look them up on Facebook, Central Kentucky Mystical Market. Yes, and Mystic Luna, who is sponsoring my 5K, they are putting on the Enchanted Forest Ball. Join us for a magical evening filled with enchantment and wonder. The event will take place at the Clarion Hotel Conference Center, where the ballroom will be transformed into a mystical setting. Get ready to dance the night away under twinkling lights and surrounded by lush greenery. Come dressed in your most whimsical attire and prepare to be transported to a fairy tale realm. Don't miss out on this unforgettable night of fantasy and fun. Yes, I will be there. This is an adults-only event. No one under the age of 21 will be admitted. No exceptions due to the alcohol cash bar. This also is at the Clarion Conference Center North on Newtown Pike. Back to our interview. And welcome back, everybody. We're in the final segment we're going to have with Brett Wagner tonight. Brett, okay. Softball question. Maybe. If someone walks up to you and said, I'm going to rent one of your movies tonight, or I'm going to stream one of your movies. If you had to point somebody to one movie, what are you most proud of? What do you think you put in the best performance in that someone could possibly go on and stream or whatever?
Boy, that's a tough question. I mean, obviously, I really dug The Crazies because I had a lot more screen time. Got to work with a lot of cool people. got to work with Tim, had a big fight scene with Timothy Oliphant underneath a semi truck, and got to do a full burn, that stuntmen do. And I'm just a lonely actor, but I got to do it. And I think Desert Fiends, once it comes out, I'm pretty proud of it. It's going to be the grossest movie you've ever seen in your life. It's going to be.
Now that scares me because I've seen Terrifier 1 and 2. And
yes, and great. And by the way, wonderful movies. And yes, and the gross factor. Damien Leone is a tremendous. He knows what's going to make people pop and get sick with and scream and run out of the movie theaters. But I'm telling you, I think, at least in my opinion, Desert Fiends is going to be one of the funniest, grossest movies you've ever seen in your life, and you'll have to be the judge of that.
Oh shit, I'm excited.
Okay, now another softball question. I noticed that you said you smoke cigars.
I do. Time to time.
Well, yeah.
I love the Cuban cigars, but if you can't wheel, there's tons of Facebook pages where people wheel and deal on the Cubans, and I love the Cubans. I love Apartagus.
We do not encourage illegal behavior here on the show.
We do not.
Now,
however, if we're going to go domestic, you cannot go wrong ever. I like the Liga Privadas. I like Viaje, which is a small batch company, if you want to say like a small batch. They make they're out of Los Angeles, Viaje cigars, and I
spelled all these wrong. I'm writing them down.
Yeah, well, the Liga Privada, they have a cigar called the Flying Pig, which is an amazing cigar. And I will tell you this: when I come see you at Scarefest weekend this year in October, I will. Wait a minute, are you smoking cigars?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And I don't hide it. Now, for the record, I want to go on the record, or people say, "Oh, he quit smoking." I have not had a cigarette since March area.
Nice.
I have started smoking because with cigars you don't really inhale. I'm watching my lung capacity. I'm still running my 5Ks, but
you are
that witch nicotine still has me firm in her grasp.
Well, I will bring you a nice selection of cigars that I think you will love. And another cigar, any Arturo Fuentes, especially when you get up to the Opus X and some of those, which are very pricey. But
okay, well then I'm gonna mark that one off my list.
I may bring you one anyways. You know who loves cigars too? Do you know who I smoke cigars with? Is Tom Matthews from Return of the Living Dead. Tom and me occasionally, once a month or twice a month, we'll go out and have a good cigar. And I love shooting the shiznit with Tom Matthews from Friday the 13th, Part 6 and Return of the Living Dead. And great guy. And it's one of my convention buddies because we do a lot of shows together. But the domestic cigars, if I say domestic, it's the Dominican, Honduran. Cubans are something separate. So when you say domestic, you're talking about all the rest that's not Cuban. They've come up. They're so good that sometimes they're even more expensive than the Cuban cigars, and you don't have to worry about sending your money to France to get a box of cigars shipped to you.
I'm a lightweight. I'm still on Swisher Sweets. And 90% of it, I like smelling the damn bag.
Oh.
What do you know about cigars, Katie? Anyway, I was smoking.
I have a story for that.
My favorite are It's a Boys.
There's nothing wrong with It's a Boys. Yes.
But no, I was smoking. I was buying. I'd go into a cigar shop and say, "Just give me a handful of whatever the hell you got." And I was at Scarefest 2 years ago. No, it couldn't be 2 years ago. Last year. And Adam Johnson, our logistics director, he got me. He let me try one of his Swisher Sweets, and and the best thing is they burn like a match. I mean, they're done, and so you're not sitting there all day with a big old fat stogie in your hand. Wonder what you're
well, it gives you that sweetness taste. You might also like an Ashton, which is a lighter cigar but one of the best cigars you could, there's lighter as far as how the strength is, and then you can go up to a cigar that'll, choke your lungs out to death. But I'm going to bring you a sample selection. There is a Kentucky cured cigar, and I'm trying to think of the name of it, but it's cured with a little, I think, whiskey or brandy in it, which has got, since you like that sweet taste,
yeah,
that might be right up your alley. And I believe the company that makes Liga Privada makes those, but I'll find you something. And I will make sure, Wes, because we didn't get to hang out last year.
Not at all. But that's because I practically died by the end of the second day.
It was so busy. I don't know if folks know, and I say this all the time, and I say it not just because I'm friends with everybody there, but Scarefest weekend is a top 5 convention in the world, in my opinion, and I've been to quite a few. It's up there with the big boys, and especially this year, not many. Some cons will bring in reunions. Okay, hey, we have a reunion from this, but not many cons bring in 6 Leatherfaces, 6 Jasons, 6 Michael Myers. So this is like franchise reunion stuff. And if you are a fan of any of those movies, the Friday the 13th, the Halloweens, the Texas Chainsaw Massacres, and amongst the other 80 guests that are going to be there, this is the year to come down and check it out. Oh, over 100 guests. Yes, over 100 guests.
We're trying to keep him from going over 100. We are trying to keep Brandon from going over 100.
Yes, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah.
But you have the space to do it. Most people would say this too many guests, but you have the fans that come in there. You have the space to do it. It's one of the nicest places I've ever been in my life. And what a great little area. And if you folks are smart, I'm telling you, this is the year to go do it. With all these people that are going to be there, it's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime event. You're never going to be able to get this many franchise people, especially killers, because I think that was the theme, where killers are coming in this year, Brandon said. And there definitely are. And a lot of cool hotels around the area to get a place to go. And I, for one, am excited, super excited.
I didn't know that was our theme. Katie, over to you.
Well, I wanted to take this moment to say that the liquor store I used to work for sent me to the Kentucky Derby to sell cigars. And I've never smoked a cigar in my life. But I got to listen to these, because my days at Churchill Downs started with me being like, it tastes really brown, like tobacco. And like, people were so drunk they would just buy it. But there were some, Wes, that they smell like a Tootsie Roll, and they smell like something you would like then, if you're looking for sweet ones. And then we have a good bourbon.
Okay, now let's not overdo it. I like to have a hint of flavor, and I've had Maker's Mark, for example, put out a cigar that had just a hint of that whiskey smell.
It is. It's good. The Buffalo Trace one is good. The Blanton's one is good. And there's a Pappy cigar too, if you could find them.
That sounds expensive right there.
No, it's probably about $25. It's not bad.
Yeah, but anyway, back to Brett. Enough about me ruining what's left of my lungs.
I had to talk about cigars. I had to join the conversation. So, how many conventions? You're traveling for how long now?
Oh man, I really haven't done many cons and over the years since I first started getting in. Since the Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out, and then maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I started making a push and emailing a lot of folks asking them if they knew who I was. And I have a fair amount of good credits, and obviously the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, playing Leatherface, even for the first kill in the movie, is still a big deal at the conventions. And Sons of Anarchy, there's a big crossover at conventions now. And the Comic Cons, they bring in horror people because they've realized, wow, we need to capitalize on what these horror movie conventions and sci-fi conventions are doing, because they're just killing it. So a lot of these they're crossing over. So yeah, I was in Kansas City 2 weeks ago. I was in London a couple days ago. I am going to Arkansas tomorrow. I come back, I go to Atlanta, then I go to Detroit, then I go to Chicago, and then I have like 3 or 4 more weekends in a row. And then don't even talk about October.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's good if you can stay healthy, you know. Not all conventions are just wonderful. Some are brand new, and you roll the dice by doing them. But it's still fun to get out there and meet the fans. Like I had a great time meeting a lot of these English fans over in London, and it's a fun thing to do. We're blessed. We're very lucky to be able to make some dollars and do this, and it's just a blessing that we're allowed to do it. So here's my 2 cents, Katie. If you do some horror movies coming up and you do get popular, just always be humble. People you can watch to see how they are with the fans, Bill Moseley, Felissa Rose, and some of these folks, Doug Jones, and you can see how they react with the fans, and that's why they're in big demand, because they're very humble, they're very cool, they're very positive with the fans, and as I said, it's just a blessing that we get to be able to do this.
I did want to tell you too that last year I was at the Scarefest TV booth, and honestly, I think I had more questions of where to find you in that tour than any other celebrity.
Yes, because we I wanted to sit
in high demand. Everybody loves you.
Well, and this year I will be in Celebrity Row. Last year I was at a vendor. I was at John Henderson's Doomsday Crypt booth, which was great. We still had fun over there. But this year I'll be in, if they want to call it Celebrity Row, I'll be over there with all the Leatherface guys and mixed in. So you shouldn't have a hard time finding me. And of course, we are going to bring some bloody sledgehammers. We're going to bring some masks. I'm saving masks this year. Last year, Trick or Treat Studios makes a mask that I wore. It's my mold from the movie. So I have been saving about 25 of those, or 30 of those, and I'm going to bring them to Scarefest. And there might be some more surprises. And of course, we're going to do full costume photo ops. And I think we are going to do with all 6 Leatherfaces, we're going to do a photo op with the fans. So make sure you get on to scarefestweekend.com and sign up for those photos. Because listen, this year's big, and those photo ops will sell out, and you don't want to miss it.
How do you stay so energized and positive? Because if I have something to do, I can't focus for a week.
I have insurance payments. I have a car payment. I have honeydews. I probably should buy my wife a diamond ring this year. My dog eats a lot of food. It's expensive, and that's how you stay energetic. Because it's if I'm not getting acting work, this is a great way to supplement your money. And as I said, you can be an a-hole, but word will get around. Especially there's hundreds of conventions, but everybody knows everybody. And once word gets out that you're a jackwagon, you are not going to get booked at places. And then, we'll hear about you robbing a liquor store or something.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know I'm excited that you're excited, and I'm gonna make you a special friendship bracelet and give it to you at the convention. Yeah. So
there's no voodoo involved, right? There's no voodoo involved?
No voodoo. Only love and support. I have a whole bucket of bracelets for the show, but I'm gonna make you one just for you.
A bucket of bracelets. Yes. I see there's a segment there, the bucket of bracelets segment. There's something there, Wes.
And she's really not a teenager. Really, she's not.
I'm really actually 30. And I just really
Wow.
I just like making friendship bracelets. They're fun.
Well, I will take it. I will appreciate it. And if you want to leave that, you can leave that bucket at my table while we're there. And we meet any cool people, we can hand it out to folks.
And if they're not nice, you'll be like, you don't get a friendship bracelet.
100%. Believe me, I am not afraid to voice my opinion. I pretend I'm nice, calm, and cool and collected, but working years of throwing drunks out of bars and being a biker, I can sometimes get a little ornery.
I feel that a little in my soul.
And I've spent a lot of my life avoiding people in bars trying to throw me out. So
yeah, but here's the deal, Wes. You and I are going to have a cigar that weekend. Period. At some point.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. Okay, last year I don't remember Friday night what happened, but Saturday night I sat out in the hallway by the VIP. I didn't even go in the VIP party. I was so tired. Now I will tell you, in case you don't find me on the convention right after the convention or at the party, I will be sitting in front of the Hyatt, with public intoxication, and that's a great place to smoke cigars.
And that's Saturday night. That's fine, and then we'll do it.
Well, I'll be there every damn night. That's easy.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll figure it out which night less tired, and I will when I get there.
That
I'll
would be
run to
Tuesday.
Walmart.
That would be the Tuesday before. Okay, everybody. This has been Scarefest TV. I want to give special thanks to Brett Wagner for fitting us into his tight convention schedule this month. And hey, if you go and buy a bad boy lawnmower, tell him Brett sent you.
Amen to that. Badboymowers.com.
Trick or Treat Studios is a Scarefest weekend sponsoring vendor. Trick or Treat Studios is the one-stop shop for high-quality Halloween and horror. Shop masks, costumes, figures, collectibles, games, and more from your favorite movies. Find Trick or Treat Studios online at trickortreatstudios.com.
Joel at Robinson Hart is a Scarefest weekend sponsoring vendor. Joel Robinson has been the official Scarefest weekend artist since its beginning in 2008. Joel is a movie cover artist and a Universal Monsters artist. Visit Joel for posters, canvases, t-shirts, purses, and backpacks. Visit Joel's Etsy page at joelrobinsonart.com.
Hey, Scarefest fans, it's Joe Lewis, Bonehead Weekly, here to give you another review for a movie that's actually in theaters. You have to go to the theater and see this, and do I encourage you to do so? Yeah, I liked it. So, the Boneheads had the chance to go out with a friend to Scarefest the other day, and the four of us sat there and watched A Quiet Place Day 1. I actually liked A Quiet Place. I liked The Quiet Place 2, whatever it's called. I always think it takes, and if you haven't seen A Quiet Place, spoiler alert, I always thought it took balls of steel for Krasinski not only to kill himself, but most importantly, kill one of the children in the first few minutes of the movie. It has always been, oh, that's really good. It's a distinct movie with a distinct voice. He's a very talented filmmaker, and I appreciate the movie so much. Do I love it? No, it's really well made. Sequel, really well made. Emily, whatever her name is, Blunt, she's, Mary Poppins 2 is fantastic. Very well acted. Now, A Quiet Place Day 1 is the third movie in these, and the thing is they've kind of figured it out. So what they do is they do these stories that are basically familial or smaller kind of in this, and they've kind of opened this one up a little bit. Now, if you're going into this wanting to know more about the creatures or trying to figure out where they came from, expanding on the kind of the expanding on, if you're going into this hoping that they expand on the mythos or the lore, not going to get a lot of that. You get a little bit. And even the little bit you got, I had to go read an interview with the director to explain exactly what I was seeing. It's something with eggs, and it's basically how they make their food. You're welcome. But it's still good because they have all these fantastic actors in it. And what they've done is they make these, people call them smaller movies. This is a $67 million film. This is actually what would used to be called a mid-sized budget film. They just don't make a lot of them anymore. You have Joseph Quinn, Alex Wolff, Djimon Hounsou, I can't say, and Lupita Nyong'o, one of the best actresses of the last 20 or 30 years, playing a cancer patient who, or some sort of, we assume cancer, who is in hospice when the day one attacks in New York City. And we spend the next couple of days with her and all the people that she meets. That's the story. That's what it is. And she's on her way to get a piece of pizza from her favorite place. And it explains all this as you go. And I don't want to give too much away. I enjoyed the movie. The two boneheads enjoyed the movie. Our friend enjoyed the movie. Did I love it? Absolutely not. Is it riddled with flaws? Oh, God, yes. But once again, it is directed so well, written very well, and acted brilliantly that you just kind of go along with it. There's some unbelievable parts, and we were arguing about it, going, well, aliens coming, Joe, blah, blah, blah. I get that. I can accept the aliens. It's a thing with the iPod and something towards the end. Chad had a problem with a note in a river. You will see it later going, yeah, you'd never be able to read it. Okay, I get it. It's directed by Michael Samosky. Michael Samosky gave me a movie a few years ago he gave me Nicolas Cage's probably his best performance of his career in a movie called Pig. He directed it. If you've never seen Pig, go out and see Pig. It's streaming. Pig is amazing. I know we're here to talk about A Quiet Place Day One. So this director is very talented. He gave me a movie I loved, absolutely loved. So go out and see A Quiet Place Day One. Go see it in the theater. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It's making a lot of money. I'm happy to see it. It's not, if you have a younger kid, it's okay. It's not R-rated. It's like the other two. There's not really any kind of blood in these movies. The creatures you get to see a little bit more. Is it perfect? No, but it's not bad. I kind of enjoyed it. I really did. It's a good movie. I really recommend it. I really recommend it. So go out at Quiet Place Day One. This is Joe Lewis. Hopefully you didn't blow your damn fingers off during the 4th of July. And I'm showing a little chest hair. I'm starting to look like Wes. This has been Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly. Go out and watch A Quiet Place Day One. Toodles.